Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I thought I would show you how I do a sludge wash for my builds. It's quite straightforward. There's no science to it really. You just kind of create it to the consistency that you want and then put it on your build. So the first thing I'll do, or the first thing I'll have to do, is clean up my porcelain bowl. I think these are made for like garlic oils and things like that, for dips and things. And I bought these so that I don't keep buying plastic in order to do things with paints. As you can see, I use this as a bit of a palette, not a wet palette, just a palette for my paints whilst painting figures and the such like. All I need to do is put some boiling water on this. The paint will peel off, and then I just throw the paint away in the bin, clean the bowl out, and then it's ready to go. So I'll sort that out. Okay, so here's the bowl cleaned and ready for use. So what I use for my sludge wash is I tend to use a black pastel chalk, and this is a piece. I had a stick of pastel chalk a while back, a couple of 3 years, and slowly it's been whittled down to this little piece. And what I do is, taking my knife, is I'll just scrape it along the edge in order to get some dust, and I'll put that in the dish, so I'll do that now. So there we go, we've got some of the pastel dust in there. I don't know really how much I put in there for each model. Depends on the size of the model, I suppose. If it's a 1/35 scale model, then obviously you'll need a lot more dust. Next step is to add just some people use like sterilised water, is it? I don't, I just use tap water. So I'll just go over to the tap and add a few drops of water to this. So that's what it's looking like now. And can you see that the dust is actually collecting together? What we need to do is break the surface tension of the water to stop that from happening. So we just add a couple of drops of washing up liquid. And then we give that a stir so that the dust is mixed in with the water. If you put too much washing up liquid in, what can happen is you start getting bubbles. The other thing you need to be aware of is this can leave watermarks on your build. I've managed to get away with it, either by wiping the model down to take this off, it's got rid of the watermark as well, or by other weathering effects after the sludge wash that has got rid of the watermark. And as you can see, the black pigment is staying in the recess of that of the bowl there. So I think I'm good to go. I'll get the build and we'll get started. So I've put some paper down in order to stop any of the mess getting on the kitchen surface, and all you do is you plaster this on your build, making sure you're getting all the recesses. Use an older brush to do this because it can knacker your brush up. I tend to use the same brush to do this for each build. And what we're going to do is come back when this is dry and wipe it off. So I need to get in here. Let me just put a bit more light so you can see in the wheels there, up the side here. Now, Greg Riley doesn't do a sludge wash, he does what's called a pin wash, where he places the wash actually in the detail, so he doesn't have to do the wiping off in effect. And what this wash will do, it will darken the colour of the build. I need to turn this round, so the green that you saw previously will be darker once this has dried, and so you need to bear that in mind when putting this on, because as I mentioned before, the olive drab that Vallejo do, if I put this sludge wash on, it darkens it down considerably, and you don't actually, I don't think you can see the definition between the recessed lines that this creates and the actual olive drab. So I've stopped using the Vallejo olive drab for that reason. So again, onto the actual truck. And of course I'm doing this video, so I hope it works. Inside here as well, because you want to get the joints where the cargo area is separated, to give that impression of shadow over the top as well. Even if you're going to wipe most of this off, you still need to do it on those areas, because you will get a different tone of green. And again, I just have to reiterate, this is the way I do it. I watched somebody do this on YouTube, and I've done it ever since. A lot of you guys out there maybe do it differently, which is great. You know, different methods work for different people. Just do the inside the cab, but I want to try and avoid getting it on. No, oh well. I've got it on the seats as well, never mind. So I think that's that done. I'm not going to be too bothered about the underneath, because one, you don't see, two, it could also be covered with a load of other mud and etc. So the last part to do is the actual bonnet and cab roof. And I'm hoping that this will make the vents on the side pop and the grille on the front pop. Obviously I've got to put the doors on, and they've got to be painted, you have a sludge wash separately as well. I don't want that to happen. I'm trying not to touch it in order to either get my greasy finger marks all over it or remove some of the wash. So there we go, that's it. Quite straightforward. What I will do now is I will let this dry, and I will come back to it, and we'll start looking at wiping it off. Catch you in a bit. Okay guys, so we've allowed the sludge wash to dry. In fact, I think it's been drying for a couple of hours now. One thing I just want to reiterate is that the decals were sealed with a gloss varnish. If you don't do that, what can happen is the sludge wash can seep under the decal, and for instance this white star here would look grey, and there's no way you can, you know, get the sludge wash from under that. So seal your decals first before trying this sludge wash. So now what we're going to do is remove it from the places we don't want it, which will be the flat areas like the sides, the interior there, around the this plate here. We'll take it off the mud guards, and on the trailer we'll remove it from these flat areas here, just leaving it in the recesses and along the side there. So I'll just get some Q-tips and a bit of tissue, and we'll start doing that. Right, so I've got myself a Q-tip, and what you do is you moisten it slightly, and then you start removing the wash. As you can see, it's coming off quite nicely. Now I did go over the plate there because what I want to do is remove the wash from the top of the surface but try and leave it in the recesses. There we go. And you just go around the whole vehicle doing that. And if you accidentally remove wash from your build, then you just make yourself some more up and go in with it again. On the flat areas, and I hope I can show you this without completely blocking the camera, you get some tissue and you just wipe it. Now as you can see, that's totally removed the wash from that surface, but the actual colour of the paint has been changed by the wash, so it's more towards the olive drab that I was referring to. And these surfaces, because there's no detail on them, what we'll do is we'll weather these a bit to try and get them to pop out in a different kind of manner. On the back here, you could either try and wipe it with paper towel, or like I'm going to do, I'll use a Q-tip again and just basically wipe each panel, leaving the wash in the recesses but removing it from the flat areas. So there we go. And notice on the camera that we had a few spots there where it wasn't quite removed. There we go. And you just go around the whole build, either using tissue or a Q-tip to get rid of everything. So I'll show you what it looks like when I've finished. So there you go, guys. That's the finished result of removing the sludge wash from the vehicle. I don't know whether you'll be able to make out the difference in the tone from what we have on the side there of the truck compared to the underneath of the trailer that hasn't been touched. So the next phase is to go over the flat areas with, you may want to start with the base colour, which is the brown violet, just dry brushing that on. I tend to find that it doesn't pick out very well, and I tend to add a little bit of yellow just to highlight it. So that'll be the next phase for this build, to go around highlighting the flat areas and trying to get the panels to pop a bit from each other. So I hope you enjoyed the video about the wash. I hope it was useful. You know, just experiment and see if you can get it to work for yourself. I know, as I've mentioned, that Greg Riley doesn't do sludge washes. He tends to use a pin wash where he places the dark wash into the actual recess parts. That way you don't have to go around doing a lot of cleaning, And the other thing is, of course, in that method you're not changing the overall colour of the vehicle itself. So I hope your Sundays are going well, and I'll catch up with you soon.